we have with us David White, CEO of ILT20.
ILT20 is we're looking to expand more than just the UAE. We were the first associate country to be granted the ability to host a professional T20 competition. We see a big role in that as the development of associate players.
How do you measure success for an auction?
The great thing about our league is that we've got 9 overseas players and of course the UAE players as well. So the competition is very strong. So I think the auction drove a fair value, gave more players the opportunity to participate.
And in the last 3 years, do you think the ILT20 has grown at the level that you imagined?
DP World ILT20 is a real driver in growing cricket in the Gulf region. So I think it's really incredibly exciting and the potential's unlimited.
By the end of the 4th season, how would you define season 4 being a success?
The team here runs a lot of cricket and do a brilliant job. Fantastic facilities. So I think that's one thing that the real plus for us.
My name is Tanuj and we have with us David White, CEO of ILT20, UAE's premier T20 competition. David, thanks for joining us. First of all, please talk about the 4th season that is coming up. How excited are you and what should we as viewers be looking forward to?
Yeah, since season 3 which is actually in the same calendar year, we've brought the competition forward this year to start in December, which is going to be really interesting to see how that goes in comparison to the other window. And of course, one of the reasons we brought that forward was because of the T20 World Cup, which is being played in India in February, India and Sri Lanka. So brought it forward. But leading up until season 4, we've actually been doing a lot. The UAE national team have done well, qualifying for the World Cup, playing in the Asia Cup as well. And I think a big part of their success is based on the fact that they've participated in a professional league, DP World ILT20, and I think it's elevated the players' ability and mental strength. So that's been positive. But we've also, part of ILT20 is we're looking to expand more than just the UAE, and you would have read about the partnerships we've entered into with Kuwait Cricket and Saudi Cricket, which is really exciting, as we see this league as a key fundamental plank is the development of cricket in the Gulf region, and we're looking to expand. And of course, we had our first auction as well, which was really successful. And I think, 2 of the biggest beneficiaries of that were the 2 UAE players that got very good money. So it's been an exciting build-up. Teams are here now in the nets, they're preparing, and we can't wait for Tuesday, the 2nd of December, which is UAE National Day, and play with the first game, which is the defending champions Dubai Capitals against Desert Vipers. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's start with the partnership that you have with Kuwait Cricket Association and with the Saudi Cricket Association. And then you've also sort of brought in net bowlers and net players from Africa to help in with the league. What is the thought process behind that, and how did that partnership come into being?
We were the first associate country to be granted the ability to host a professional T20 competition. And we see a big role in that as the development of associate players. And within that is the Gulf region. And over time, my personal view is that this competition will be expanded to be just not a UAE competition, but it'll be a competition in the Gulf region. So the natural part of that is an extension is to the partnership with Kuwait and Saudi Cricket, where they participated in the auction this year. So 6 Kuwait players and 6 Saudi players have joined the squads. It's going to be a fantastic opportunity for them to learn off world-class coaches and great players. And that's great for their development. But we're also helping both them with development of their cricket infrastructure and programs. So, we pride ourselves in supporting the development of other associate countries. And what we're also doing this time for the first time is we've got 7 young African players, very young, promising African players who are going to join franchise teams as netballers to gain experience. And And we see that as a really important role of ours to help develop associate cricket as well.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing that you actually also talked about and stressed on was the first ever auction for the ILT20. What was the thought process behind that, and how do you measure success for an auction?
I think first and foremost, by having an auction, we opened it up to the world really. Because previously, I think it's not a criticism, but previously players were contracted via agents and things, and we probably didn't have the scope, and a lot of players didn't know how they could participate in the auction. So we went out to the world really, and a lot of people applying, and I think the auction was really successful. I think what's one of the really interesting things about the auction is that it really drives your market value in terms of a player. And I think, I'm not saying prices before were overly inflated, but I think it was more measure of your marketability and your value in the market. So that was interesting. I think it was successful. Real cross-section of players from around the world. Great to see the Saudi and the Kuwait players, and of course the UAE players as well, participating in the auction. So I guess the proof will be in the pudding come Tuesday. But I think that if you look at the squads, they're very strong, very well balanced. The great thing about our league is that we've got 9 overseas players, and of course the UAE players as well. So the competition's very strong. So I think the auction drove a fair value, gave more players the opportunity to participate, and of course gave us a lot more promotion as well. There was a lot of noise around it, so great for promoting the league.
But why did you actually come into the process of going into an auction? I mean, you had 3 seasons where the teams actually made their own choices, had the whole discussions with players depending on their availability, and now you have an auction.
I think like I said before, what an auction does is it provides players around the world to put their name forward. And maybe without an auction, franchise teams might not know who's available. So it creates more awareness for the teams, and it's a competitive process, and it drives the fair value of players.
Do you envision this auction to be a yearly affair, or do you, like the IPL, you have a retention period, you have teams retaining players and then having sort of like a mini auction every few years, and then you have a mega auction in 3-4 years?
This year, teams have the ability to retain 8 players, which is quite a large number. So we haven't decided the process for next year. We'll talk to the franchise teams, get their feedback as well, and then we'll decide what the process will be going forward. But I'd like to think that there will be some form of auction each year, but to be determined.
Going into the 4th season, what is the single biggest strategic priority for the ILT20? What are you basing the success or lack of for the ILT20 going into the season?
From a success point of view, first and foremost, this is about cricket. So it's a quality of cricket. And we are very lucky in the UAE that we've got 3 quality stadiums. So the players, when they come here, know that they're going to play on very good wickets, good practice facilities, good grounds with good outfield. So quality of cricket is the key priority for a start, to ensure that the cricket's very good. Crowd attendance is important, of course. The ability to generate broadcast viewership, and pleasing this year that we've extended our international broadcast footprint. So that's been a real positive. So we're going to be more visible around the world, which I think is great for the league. But now I think coming into season 4, we're really becoming established as a premier T20 league around the world. So it's consolidation, quality of cricket, commercial imperatives to make sure that the franchise teams are generating revenue to make it sustainable as well.
In the last 3 years, do you think the ILT20 has grown at the level that you imagined?
I think that the team before me did a remarkable job. I think to develop an associate country, to develop a league of this stature, was a real achievement. Challenging being an associate country because you don't have that natural, like Australia, England, South Africa, even the West Indies. You've got that core fan base and following. So I think they did a remarkable job getting it up and running, and been really well supported by the franchise teams. And I think that everyone can look back now in the first 3 years with a lot of satisfaction. And I think that growing the league into the greater Gulf region is a really exciting development. Be one of the real growing leagues in the world, because I think the UAE and the Gulf region is got massive untapped potential, credible wealth, of course, we know.
Yeah.
So I think the potential is huge, and we see DP World ILT20 as a real driver in growing cricket in the Gulf region. So I think it's really incredibly exciting, and the potential's unlimited.
On the same lines, what do you believe ILT20's identity is in this crowded global T20 calendar? I mean, at the same time, there are 2 leagues going to be played, and then there are multiple leagues scattered throughout the year. How do you differentiate, and how do you sell a league to a potential player?
We don't really clash that much with SA20 this year. A little bit at the end. Of course, Big Bash starts, I think, about the 15th. And of course, it's very challenging because most of world cricket is played in the Southern Hemisphere time zone, with the exception of probably, England, the West Indies a bit. And because of our climate, we play in the winter, which is the same as the Southern Hemisphere time zone. But what sets us apart is the weather that time of the year. And I know the fact that the players come here and they're domiciled in one hotel. They don't have to fly extensively from match to match around the place. They really enjoy the fact that they can come in one venue, great facilities, great climate, and very high standard of cricket with 9 overseas players. So I think that stands us apart. We really promote associate cricket, and it's just not all about the 4 members. And I think that that's really supported by the franchise teams and world cricket as well. So we've got a unique role to play in the global game, and we're delighted with the progress that we've made.
Has there ever been a discussion, or do you envision the league's position in the calendar being changed at some point? Was that ever a consideration, especially when there is a clash with not just one league, you're clashing with 2 leagues?
I'd actually challenge what you're saying there, because playing in December now, and December is traditionally a test playing period of time. I know this year some teams are preparing for the World T20 in India and Sri Lanka, but generally a lot of test match cricket is played in December, and so you're not really clashing with leagues in the Southern Hemisphere, a little bit with the Big Bash, but it's going to be really interesting with Australia. If they do privatise, and I'd imagine, the owners of the teams will want access the best players in Australia. So will they continue in this window? I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. I think that we've found a window that there's not a lot of competition, and I think it's going to be successful.
One thing that probably, I don't know whether it's a challenge, but with many franchises owned by IPL owners and some backing by IPL teams, how do you ensure the ILT20 stays rooted to its what it wants to be and what it wants to be going in the future, rather than being an extension of an IPL brand?
Listen, the IPL teams and brands have been phenomenally successful. We've got 3 here, and we want them to use their brands. Mumbai Indians, Kolkata Knight Riders, for example, massive global brands, and that's great for cricket, and we want that to continue. The franchise teams, IPL teams, have been very supportive of the development of cricket in this region, and I think they're nothing but supportive, really, and I don't see a negative with that at all. And I think that you'll find in the years to come, looking out, 5 years, you look at Mumbai Indians' presence, and obviously the IPL, SA20, America, now the 100, and here, and that is a natural extension, and I think that's going to be reflective of the environment of cricket in the future. And I think it's a positive, as long as there's a place for international cricket as well. I don't see any negatives.
What is ILT20's biggest commercial vulnerability right now? Do you see, broadcast revenue, sponsorship depth, or just the franchise economics? What do you see being the challenge?
Well, we're very fortunate to have an Indian broadcast partner, Z, which is great, very, very supportive, and a big multinational UA company, DP World, are very supportive. So we're very fortunate with that. It is a challenge, I think, for world cricket now that there have been some legislative changes in India, and it's, the fantasy gaming's taken a hit, and maybe some of the surrogate brands have struggled a bit. So commercially, that is a challenge, but it's not just in the UAE. I think it's all the leagues. We are very fortunate in this part of the world that we have got very strong companies. There is a lot of money in the UAE and the Gulf region, and that's big economies, big corporates. So that's good. I think our biggest challenge, though, to be quite honest, and one that we really got to keep pushing, is crowd attendance. It is a challenge when you've got 3 venues that are kind of an hour apart, 34 matches. Attendance is a challenge, and it's something that we need to drive more and more, and we want to develop over time tribalism and that fan following. So that's the biggest challenge, I think, from being an associate country to a country where you've already got an established cricket following. So that's something that we're really working on.
One of the things that even IPL is struggling with is generating different revenue streams. I mean, for IPL, the BCCI itself, and for the teams by extension, broadcast revenue is the biggest funnel for revenue generation. How do you see that with the ILT20 in terms of revenue generation? I mean, does that hold true for you also, where broadcast is the king and then everything else is sort of like smaller funnels?
Like I said before, we're very fortunate that we've got Z, and now we've extended the rest of the world as well, DP World and major sponsors. So yeah, listen, I think all professional sport, generating revenue is very important. And with this traditional model, it is difficult to find additional income streams. And I think the whole sector has taken a bit of a hit. The people that run the leagues, but also the teams, but also broadcasters, because a big part of their ad revenue, I think, was from some of these areas. So I think that's a challenge and something that we've all got to adapt to.
In the last 3 seasons, what have been the most significant operational learnings that you've incorporated and are going to use in the 4th season?
One of the things that really stands out, I think, compared to a number of other leagues, is our operational excellence. We run a lot of cricket in the UAE. You look at this last 12 months, we've had Champions Trophy, we've had, not long ago, the Women's World Asia Cup. So the team here runs a lot of cricket and do a brilliant job. Fantastic facilities, great training facilities, amazing hotels. So I think that's one thing that, people that come here know that the facilities are excellent, and it's going to be run, the operations is excellent, good facilities. So that is a real plus for us, and something that I think stands out. And like I said before, the fact that the 3 stadiums are so close to each other means that teams don't have to travel by air or long bus trips, and they can come here, they can bring their families, and they can train and have a really nice, comfortable existence and a part of the world that, I've been here just over 2 years, but this part of the world's exploding. It's quite incredible, the development, the things that are happening, the hotels, the luxury. It's a fun place to be, and I know the players love coming here.
Is the ILT20 and the franchises profitable as we speak, or if not, when do you see the teams reaching and the league reaching break-even point?
I think that all the teams have invested with a long-term strategy. You'd need to talk to the individual teams about their profitability. I think that all teams see this as a really sustainable long-term investment, are encouraged by the fact that we're looking to expand into the greater Gulf region. And like I said before, this is massive potential, this whole region.
By the end of the 4th season, how would you define season 4 being a success?
Great cricket, close matches, good scores, good competitive cricket, happy players, good broadcast, good crowds, Yeah, and big following on our social media platforms. So that will define our success. Good media coverage from the Times of India too. That'd be good.
Oh, definitely. You don't have to worry about that for sure. Thank you so much, David, for giving your time. Thanks so much for joining.